So it's been a very long minute since I have recorded a video like this. I've mostly just been doing like those really edited room dev vlogs, as you guys have seen on the channel. But I really feel like I'm starting to lose touch, not only with you guys, but just like with the whole project itself. So I felt like an update video was in order. I usually work off some sort of loose script of sorts, either by planning out what I'm going to be talking about or completely writing a whole script that I follow for these videos. But I feel like this is just going to be my loose, disjointed thoughts on what's been going on with my life and the project. And I hope you guys feel a little bit better knowing what's going on with me. To start out, you guys might be noticing this lovely banner that I have behind me. I have been preparing to go to conventions as the state of California opens back up a bit more. So this is my little banner for tabling. I don't have any conventions lined up yet, but I will let you know as I actually figure out what I can go to. So if you guys want to meet me and see the game in person, that is always an option that you will have once I announce them. Another thing I want to quickly announce before I get into anything else is that this was drawn by my sister, going by Artsy Laverne online. I don't know if I should use real names or pseudonyms right now, because I'm still working out whether or not I'm going to make like an official announcement. But long story short, I am no longer a solo developer on this game. I have a new lead illustrator / character artist. She will be taking over the portraits and a lot of the full art for cutscenes and dialogues and stuff. And I'm mostly just be going to take a sort of assistant role with that now, along with a director role, because it's like I'm the one who's deciding what all the art needs to be done, but I will be also helping out where need be. Besides that, I have subtly kind of announced it, but we also have a new lead composer, Percivalco. I don't know if I pronounced that right, so I'm sorry, dude. Like, message me if I pronounce that wrong, and then I will like fix it every time I refer to you from henceforth. But similar to the art with the characters and everything like that, I am going to be taking over like a supplemental sort of role in that I will like fill in any of the gaps. Like if it's missing a track that needs to be done, and it just seems better for me to do it, like I will do that. I will supply a few tracks for the soundtrack instead of doing the entire thing like I did last episode. But I'm also doing a director role where it's like I'm the one who's kind of calling the shots with the direction and the tone and the situations that these different songs will play in, but he's the one who's actually doing the work of writing them, so props to him, he's a great dude. Alright, now that I'm done kind of introducing the new team members, which I will probably try and do a more formal announcement for all of social media because I want them to get credit and recognition, let's get into what I'm here to actually talk about. So, you guys might have noticed that I've been a lot quieter online, and it's not just because I've been switching to a more Patreon-oriented focus, because I've been a bit quiet on Patreon as well, not entirely because if people are paying me money to see progress on the game, I'm not going to leave them in the dark, but I've really been running through a dry spell with the project. I'm still making progress on it, but I noticed that ever since the Kickstarter happened, it's like, okay, I've been doing this much work and getting this much done, then I get like 3/4 of the same amount of work done the next month, and then I get another 3/4 of that last month's work done this month, and that's alarming to me. Because, you know, I am someone who really likes to work a lot, typically, and then I'll go through periods of me working constantly and then me like taking a long time kind of recovering in terms of like me still working every day, but like maybe I only do a couple hours of real work and the rest of the day I'm just kind of like, just being lazy. And that always kind of worked for me because it's like I'd get stuff done really fast, all things considered. But the past couple months, I've just been getting lazier and lazier. And it's not really for lack of me wanting to work, it's just a lack of energy in general. I don't have a lot of inspiration lately. And that's like not anyone's fault, really. I've just been like going through a really tough period mentally, and it's one of those kinds of like feelings where you just don't want to do anything, but then you feel terrible for not doing anything. And I just don't want the game to suffer or be released like super late or anything like that because I'm going through this. I'm trying to power through it as much as I can, but it's really not for like lack of wanting to continue. For instance, I'm not gonna quit on this game unless I quit game development entirely. This game is my baby, and it's not something that I want to flip-flop on. Like, my first game idea that I told you about, Moira, in my other video when I was talking about what this game means to me, I was really excited about that idea, but it wasn't something I was extremely, extremely passionate about. I thought I was, but it turns out I wasn't, because as soon as the dream of Shadowlands came up in my mind, like, that was it. And for all the other ideas that I've had with games, because I've had a lot while working on this game, I've never had any idea that's ever pushed me further than the dream of Shadowlands, so I'm not giving up on it for any other ideas. Like I said, the only reason I would quit this is if I entirely quit being a game developer. That being said, I really haven't felt like a game developer for a bit. Like, even though I'm literally developing a game, it's been difficult to kind of identify as that because I've been doing other things to kind of make ends meet and everything like that, because with my Patreon and stuff, like, I'm making, I believe, $128 a month, which is great. That's a good few meals and groceries and a bit of rent, but that's really just a drop in the bucket of how much money I actually need to survive and support myself. So I've had to do other things for money, like do some commissions and stuff like that, and those just like suck all of my energy out of me. So the other day I consciously made the decision that I'm going on an indefinite hiatus with my sewing commissions and everything like that, and I'm only going to be doing commissions when it's for the new online store for the Dream of Shadowlands, because I do have a couple of character plushies available on there. So I feel like, at least with those, it's not me having to create new patterns and ideas for different characters. It's me having the same patterns that I already developed when I made the Kickstarter plushies. And it's really just mindless work once you figure out how to do the character the first time with plushies. So it's a lot less mentally draining to make my own characters, not only because I love them, but also because there's like no mental toll involved. Like, it's just you cut fabric out, you put it together. But yeah, so it's like, if I'm not going to be working to make money, then I really feel like that's the motivation I need to kick my butt into high gear and really act like a game developer. Like, I may not be making enough money on game development so far to be working full time, but I kind of want to spend the next few months at least pretending like I am, just so that I can get into like the work ethic of maybe that'll help pay off. Maybe that'll make people pay more attention to my game if I'm spending every single day, like, let's say like 6-7 hours a day actually working on the game, maybe an hour like marketing, and then just spending whatever other time like thinking about ideas that I need to put in it, fulfilling any orders I get on the online store, like anything like that. Like just spending complete work days on the game and no other work. So, I mean, hopefully that'll pay off. I just, I don't know. And the reason that it's been so hard for me is because I'm starting to get, like, I wouldn't call it imposter syndrome, but I'm starting to get the feeling that it's like I'm trying to be something that I'm not sure I can be, and it's not in terms of like my own abilities, because I know I have the ability to be a game developer. I've already proven that to myself. It's more like I feel like I'm the kind of person that a lot of people ignore, and that's been really hard for me the past couple days thinking about that. Because that isn't to say it would be incorrect to say that no one cares about me. I know people care about me. I have a lot of friends. I have family that cares about me. But it's like the more I reach out for help from a large amount of people, like with the Kickstarter, or like recently I've been pitching the game to publishers, and I've only gotten 2 responses, and both of those were rejections. It's like I don't really I don't care that people don't like what I like or what I do or anything like that. It's not that, because I understand that, like, I'm my own person, so people aren't gonna be just like me. They're not gonna be interested in the same things that I care about. Like, I get that. That's not hard for me to, like, tackle. What's hard is that I feel like, just based off the reaction I've had to this game, that there are a lot of people who would care about it a lot, but it just feels like no matter how loud I kind of scream out into the void that is the internet, only a handful of them hear me. And it's kind of hard because you feel really powerless. And it is like, it feels like a really like shallow thing to care about, but it's like there's a lot of existential dread that comes in when you're trying to make this your living. And it's like, oh, suddenly I care if people like my art because it's gonna be the one thing that I'm trying to get to feed me and my family. So it's like you get these feelings that otherwise would feel really shallow, but then suddenly there's just like the pressing need to get money to survive. And when that sets in, it's a lot harder to kind of deal with, because like I've never really cared about what people like think about me, or if they like the same things I do or anything like that, because it shouldn't matter. Like, you should be living for yourself and not for how other people see you. I mean, unless you're a jerk, don't be a jerk. But yeah, like I said, when there's the added layer of money and you put that sort of mixed up with yourself, you get these new feelings that are kind of overwhelming at times. And that's been what I've been going through. So yeah, indie development has been hard for me lately. I just think like the harder it gets for me emotionally, the less energy I'm able to put into it, and then the less I'm able to get out of it. And it's a vicious cycle, and I'm trying to break that. And that's my first step, is doing this video and kind of like opening up about that. Because I really think that I should communicate that. Especially to other indie developers who are not only at the point where I'm at, but are maybe even like further back towards the starting point than I am, because I've been in this game for like, I've been working on just indie development for almost 3 years now. Like, in a few months it'll be 3 years, and then it's been like 2.5 years since I started this specific project. So yeah, I know that there's people who are gonna be further behind me. And it's like, I feel like as indie developers, we're either sold the message of like, oh, you literally can never give up, like you will succeed someday, or no, it's a lie. Indie devs don't make any money, really. You should only do it as a hobby to care about, like, what you're making instead of the money. So, a lot of people don't really talk about the in-between that I'm feeling right now, where it's like, it's like I really don't want to give up. I don't, because this is incredibly important to me. But I don't have success anywhere in sight right now, and I don't know how far away it'll be. I'm a little bit worried for when episode 2 launches, hopefully at the end of this year, like planned. Because that's going to be the first episode that you have to pay for. And I don't know how people are going to react when I offer something that's not for free versus, people were singing a lot of praises for episode 1 as a first game that was for free. Like, okay, yeah, it's a modest project, like, as people kind of got that. It's like, okay, you're not expecting anything magnificent, but people enjoyed it, and that made me really, really happy, for all the problems that exist and continue to exist in the games, just because I'm still a beginner. But yeah, I don't know how that's gonna change when it's like, I offer up an episode that you have to pay for, and, people might be a bit harsher, which, I understand. It's like you put down $4 for a game. It's like, you're gonna have higher expectations than when you don't pay anything for it. But I'm also worried about people just not buying it because it's not free. Like, not caring enough to continue the story, which is, that's fine. Like I said, people don't have to care about what I care about. That's not the problem. I'm also worried about people abusing the refund system on Steam, because my game is probably going to be, like, you can beat it in less than 2 hours, just because all of the episodes are going to last, like, about an hour and a half to, like, maybe, like, 3 hours. So either way, it's like, that puts me at the threshold where it's like, okay, you have 2 hours to refund a game on Steam. If people can beat it within that time, like, who's stopping them from getting their money back, And I'm kind of worried about that as well, because I don't really expect a lot of consumers to have the attitude of supporting artists. I mean, like, Lord knows that I've done my fair share of piracy, so I'm not gonna act like a victim if it happens to me, but it is just the reality of, like, I feel like my livelihood is in a very perilous position. And, that's just the nature of not being successful enough yet to live off of this stuff, but then trying to do it in spite of that. I'm kind of, like, just going on multiple trains of thought here, so I don't know if I've actually been concluding all the things I've been starting with in this video, but I feel like you generally get the idea. But either way, it's like, I'm kind of trying to cover all my bases when it comes to things outside of the game itself. Like, with Patreon, I'm hoping that that can become, like, a stable source of income for me, because I know that those are the people that are the most passionate about the game, that at least have the money to support it, because, I mean, not everyone who's passionate has the money, I get that. But it's like, I know that the people on Patreon aren't going to, like, scam me by, like, for instance, buying the game and refunding it after they finish it. So I'm kind of trying to make sure that whatever revenue stream that I rely on the most in the future is something that I know that there's minimal risk involved. Unfortunately, it feels like the game itself is pretty risky. Like, people are either just not gonna buy it, or they might just refund it. So, yeah, there's also the online store that I haven't formally announced on YouTube, but I guess I'll do that now. I've launched an online store where we have the pins and lanyards from the Kickstarter, as well as the Rena and Jill plushies. So if you guys were interested in recouping some of the old Kickstarter rewards, now is the time. All of the money goes straight to me, so that means that at least 75% of it's going to go straight back into development costs. So, I mean, if that's another way that you want to support development besides Patreon, that is an option. And hopefully that's something that you guys will take up if you found any of those rewards especially enticing during Kickstarter and you were a little bit disappointed that you missed out on them. But yeah, so the crux of this video is not only kind of going into like my mental space that I've been in recently from being an indie game developer of a not so successful game yet, and also just to update you guys on the process if you guys have been really eager to know. But it's also kind of serving as an introduction of sorts, because I think making a YouTube video every 1 or 2 weeks where it's just like me talking to the camera, me doing something, but just engaging me, myself, and not always the game. I think if I released a few videos like that a month, then that would help me kind of stay grounded. I don't know what I would talk about yet, but it would pretty much all be related to either my game or indie games in general, probably. I mean, it's like I'm not one of those indie game gurus where you see, if you just like search YouTube for like indie game dev, you see a whole list of people who are like much more established in their careers than I am, and like those are the people that you want to learn from. I know I'm not that, so I don't know what exactly kind of videos I'll be making, but I want to do it just kind of as a way to connect with you guys and have more fun. So who knows what I'll put out, but I'll try to put out something good. Other than that, I'm going to be going on vacation in the beginning of August to the middle of August. So I'm thinking, because it's going to be me gone for a while, that when I come back, I will finally start live streaming some of the days that I'll be working, as I put together rooms and stuff like that, work on enemies, work on art, because that was something that I kind of teased in the past, and I got a couple people like saying like, oh, that sounds really nice, and I feel sorry for them that I haven't done it yet. But other than that, I feel like it would help me feel a lot more accountable for my work, is if I am forced to sit at this computer and actually work like consistently for a good few hours, instead of like working for an hour, taking a break, working for an hour, taking a break, like I've kind of been doing. Because then I will have people holding me accountable. It's not just me holding myself accountable. But yeah, I hope that this video was informative for you guys. Like I said, really unstructured. I'm sorry. Like, I don't really think in a very structured way. So it's hard to kind of go off script in a very structured way, but I hope I did all right. I hope that you guys were able to understand it pretty clearly and that this was helpful. So like I said, if you're interested in supporting the game, there's now not only Patreon, where you get all this exclusive content, but there's also the online store, which I will leave a link for in the description. And then if you just want to get updates, quick little snippets of the game and stuff like that, I have a few social media links that you can actually see here. Except that like my shoulders are blocking it normally, but you know. So hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in the next one, whenever and whatever that will be.